As I wake up the next morning, I notice that Natsuki is sound asleep. One of the first times I've ever woke up before her, now that I think about it. While I leave my room to make breakfast, I feel a tinge of anxiety. I ignore it for now, but how long can I keep this up? How long until I break? Certainly not something I want to think about while making scrambled eggs, so I don't. Instead, once I'm done making breakfast, I go to my room and use my time to order tickets online for the Parfait Girls movie I plan on taking Natsuki to. I check back in my room and I see that Natsuki is awake. Still concerned for her, I ask her how she's doing. Feeling any better? A little. Good. Remember, I've got something neat in store for later today. Wake me up when it happens then. Natsuki turns over and tries going back to sleep. Ignore dogs. My mind starts to drift towards worrying again, but I don't want to keep worrying like this. Not yet again. Not yet again. A few hours pass, and it's almost time for us to go. Ready, Natsuki? Okay, well, at least this music kind of makes me feel a little better. Natsuki groggily responds. For what? You already forgot? You never even told me what we're doing yet. Natsuki gets out of bed. Ah, that's true. Well, how about you find out now? I hold up the tickets I printed earlier. Ah. Actually, that's not surprising. I already knew you were getting the tickets. What, did you see my browser history or something? Can you read my mind? Oh. Yesterday I would have asked if we could go, but you know how tired I was. Earlier today, though, I was going to ask, but I caught a glimpse of when you were printing the tickets, so... I guess she must have gotten a glass of water or something, and I didn't notice with the printer drowning the sound out. I guess it's one of those loud printers. Anyway, it's not long until it starts. Let's go. Shortly after, we head outside as I lead Natsuki to a movie theater. Why are you doing this anyway? Not that I'm upset or anything. I don't know. You seem to be having a hard time lately, so I thought I'd do something to take your mind off of it. Natsuki doesn't look grateful that often, but when she does, it's unbelievably satisfying. Thank you. Seriously, I don't deserve any of this. Well, I deserve some of it, but still. Yeah, there's Natsuki. If nothing else, at least Natsuki seems to be going back to her old self. We walk up to the man at the ticket counter. 2 seats for the 3:30 p.m. screening of Parfait Girls, please. Go ahead. Natsuki and I walk into the theater. The lobby is gigantic, containing more than enough space for a place like this. The snack vendor is full of delicious treats, filled with traditional movie theater snacks from around the world. That, of course, wasn't the main attraction. We head into the cinema room where the movie was supposed to play, only to find out we were the only people who showed up. Okay, so Parfait Girls, the cult classic movie. Did we arrive on time? It's 3:30 now, isn't it? But hey, we do have front row seats. Okay, dibs on the front row. But not that it matters. We sit down next to each other as the movie begins. Okay, I guess we saw the whole movie in a span of 5 seconds. So what did you think of it, Natsuki? I don't know if it lived up to the hype, but I thought it was decent. Same here. I wasn't sure how well they could adapt the series into a movie, but they did a pretty good job. I pulled my arm away that was wrapped around Natsuki's shoulders and stand up. You did the move on her? Time to go home. Hey Daniel, there's something I want to say first. Natsuki looks off to the side, like she always does when she's nervous. What is it? Thanks. I've never had a boyfriend like you. Or a boyfriend at all. Or even a friend like you. Or anyone at all like you. You're the only one who takes me to the movies I want to watch, or makes food with me. You're the only one who's been this nice to me. So, if I'm ever mean towards you, you know part of the reason why. I'm shocked by how kind you are, so I don't always know how to react. And I think a lot about how other people see me, since I want to be the best, so that's also part of it. This is stupid. Sorry for wasting your time. Natsuki's head droops as she gets up and heads towards the exit. What is going on, Natsuki? What's the final piece of this puzzle I'm missing? Natsuki, we need to talk about your grades. Yeah, so what about them? You know what I'm referring to. My grades suck. There you go. What else is new? This has to change. I don't know if you need a tutor or something, but we can't let things keep going like this. We can't let you be held back a second time, Natsuki. Okay. So what if I am? Is it really that big of a deal? We both know that your education is important. Even then, how are my grades supposed to change if the situation that I live in won't change? How are my grades supposed to get better if living here doesn't get better? Going through all this, I can only do so much. What are you going to do if you get held back again then? What will you tell your friends? Will you lie about your age to the people you meet? So I'm guessing this is how people are kind of getting around the whole thing about Natsuki looking so young or something. Were you listening to anything I even said? I did, but you're missing my point. No, I get your point, but you don't seem to get mine. But if that's how you want to go about this, then fine. It's not like I can do anything about this anyway. It's not like I was ever able to do anything about the things going on in my life. Things continued as normal for the next few days. Actually, I don't think I'd consider it normal. Something definitely felt off, and in the middle of one night, I would learn why. It had to have been around 3 a.m. at the time. Natsuki and I were asleep until I heard a loud noise along the lines of a thud. Okay, this doesn't sound good. I turned towards Natsuki's side and saw that she rolled off the bed. I didn't think much of it initially. I thought she had another nightmare or something, and it happened because of her tossing and turning. To some degree, that was true, but it was what I found when I looked at her after she fell that I discovered a horrifying fact. Oh man. When she fell, her shirt shifted in a way that her right shoulder became visible, and the final puzzle piece I'd been looking for had finally appeared. She looked up at me, albeit groggily. She had just woken up after all. Natsuki, what's with that bruise? Natsuki. And here I am now, shocked and furious to see such a thing. I could spend time coming up with a bunch of other possibilities explaining why she had that bruise, but there was no point. Everything already fit together. Yeah, that's why she left home, and that's why she can't face her dad. The thoughts rush through my head. The reason why she has a bruise. The reason she came to live with me. The reason she acts the way she does towards her dad. There is no other explanation. Maybe I'm jumping the gun, but this is the conclusion I have come to. Natsuki was hit by her dad. Her dad is abusive. And if you've played the second act of the original game, she kind of hints at that, how sometimes he gets drunk and he ignores her, he doesn't feed her, he does all this stuff to her, and that's, at least some people think that that's why she's so small, because she's so malnourished. If that isn't bad enough, the potential implications could be even worse. I feel dizzy. Now what? Now how do I handle this? It's not like I can ignore this. I was able to ignore it before, but that was because I didn't realize what was going on. I didn't realize the seriousness of the situation. But now that I do, I have to do something. Daniel, this bruise, don't bother. I already know. Natsuki has a guilty expression on her face. Are you mad at me, Daniel? I don't have any excuses anymore. Before, I hid it from you since I thought I was doing the right thing by keeping you out of this, but I'm not mad at you. I wish I didn't have to find out like this, but it's not you I'm upset with, Natsuki. I'd say that we should discuss this tomorrow, but I don't think either of us feels like going back to sleep. I motion for Natsuki to get up, and she gets back into bed. Do you want anything to drink? Are you hungry? No. I want to get this over with. Natsuki's face is a continuous whirlwind of emotion. Fear, regret, and sadness all cycle through at the same time. When did this happen, Natsuki? As I talk, I get back into bed as well. The comfort I got from laying down covered in blankets was all gone now. Remember the day when I snapped at you and said I hated everyone? It's not a good memory to go back to, but yes. After I ran out of the classroom, I headed home right after. Then I was having an argument with my dad as usual, and I stop her right there. Hold up. As usual? Does this happen often or something? You have no idea. I'd have to go back a bit further to explain. I feel bad for interrupting again, but I need to get the bruise out of the way first. Sorry, go back to the story. We can talk about the rest later. Yeah, so I was arguing with my dad, and then it escalated, and then Natsuki shows me her bruise again. Then you ran to my house, didn't you? Yeah. Yeah, she got out of there, and I don't blame her. It's like any sort of battery, no matter who it's from, you gotta get out of there. At least, that's how I feel. Because you shouldn't have to stay and put up with that any more than you have to. Sorry, I haven't fully processed this yet. It's been over a month since then, though. Shouldn't your bruise have faded out at this point? I don't know. I thought about that too, but I didn't want to tell anyone, so... Well, gotta have a doctor or something look at it at this point. Again, we can focus on that later. I think I understand everything now, but I need to ask you more about the situation with your dad. Was it always like this? Natsuki takes a deep breath. My home life used to be fine, or at least better. It wasn't amazing or anything, which has to do a lot with how tight our money situation was. My mom passed away early into my childhood, so my dad took care of me from that point on. He wasn't the worst father ever or anything. He got mad a lot, but not nearly as mad as he's gotten over these past few years. Did something happen to make him more upset like that? I don't know. Maybe he just couldn't deal with everything put together. Him and my mom were apparently married for 15 years before they had me. Wow. I think raising a child with his wife was too important for him to put into words. Our money situation has gotten worse recently too. We haven't totally sunk yet, although it has to be tough for him. That doesn't justify what he did. I didn't say it does. I'm mad about this too. I sigh. This is so much to take in all at once. Maybe I really should have waited until tomorrow to talk about this, but it's too late for that now. As the years went by, my dad started to distance himself from me. Well, it's more like he distanced himself from everyone. He can do that if he wants, but he still has a daughter to take care of. Occasionally, making dinner isn't enough. I feel neglected because of it. It was like I did something wrong, but I couldn't figure out what it was. Does he drink, Natsuki? No, I don't think so. Okay, well... Unless whatever happened in Act 2 doesn't play into this, or there's something we're not seeing here. I never saw him drink anyway. As I was saying, I would argue with him a lot about how I was treated. It wasn't only neglect that was a problem, it was how he acted towards other things too. He had this perfect idea of what he wanted his daughter to be like. He was willing to give some leeway, but not enough to let me do things like keep my manga collection at home. He wanted to have that much control over your life when he could barely take care of himself? Basically. Wow. The more of this I hear, the more I feel bad for Natsuki. What she had been going through is not how someone should have to live. It shouldn't. Because he wanted me to be the best daughter ever, that's what he taught me for years to do. He wanted me to rise above everyone else. And yeah, wanting me to be successful is one thing, but he didn't have to push it onto you as hard as he did, right? Yeah, and it wasn't exactly him focusing on only my grades either. I've never been good enough at school to be a straight A student anyway. He told me to be the best socially too, and to have the most friends. That even though it might not always work out, to make sure to try to talk to people. I never figured out what to do. I never wanted to figure out if I should take advice from him of all people. It didn't really matter though. In the end, I had a hard time making friends, because I had trouble trusting people thanks to him. Yeah, Natsuki she's damaged. I mean, well, I kind of have trouble trusting people in real life as well. Not because of my parents, but, well, mostly because of friends and even the last woman I cared about. But like I said, that's another story. Don't want to bore you with that. I can't even think right now. My mind is frozen. Like I said, I didn't want to end up the way I did. Things just happened that way. Sometimes I try to be nice, but a lot of times I didn't want to show any weakness. I don't get why it happened that way, but it did. Natsuki pauses, taking a deep breath. Remembering all this can't be easy. I think the reason why he was so obsessed with me being successful is because of himself. Yeah, he probably sees himself as a failure, so he's pushing all that on her. I think he didn't want me to turn out the way he did. Natsuki looks like she's about to break down. Regardless, there's something I need to know. Natsuki, do you still care for him? Natsuki thought long and hard about that question as we sat in complete silence. Yeah, this is a heavy question. A part of me does. Okay, let me make sure we're on the same page here. What your dad did to you is abuse. Yeah, no way around it. I need to make something clear. Another one of his actions was undeniable, unjustifiable neglect towards you. How do you fully feel about him? Just think of everything, Natsuki. I give Natsuki a few minutes while I wait for her to come up with an answer. Learning all this is so surreal. It's like when you know something's wrong, but only later realize the extent of how awful it is. I think it's funny how this turned out. Not that kind of funny, but I'm talking more about how I came to find out about this. It's strange, kind of ironic in a way. Natsuki seemed bent on letting me find out about this situation, or seemed bent on not letting me find out about this situation. She didn't always do a great job, but she continued to try hiding it. But then there's tonight. Because my bed is up against the wall, you can only fall off of it if you lay down on the left side. I was the first one to get into bed that night, and I laid down on the right side. So, the only option was for Natsuki to lay down on the left side. If that didn't happen, she wouldn't have fallen off the bed, I wouldn't have seen her bruise, and I never would have learned the truth behind all this. So then, is it usually the other way around, the way you sleep? I know I was trying to give Natsuki some time to think, but a thought crossed my mind. Did your dad ever try to take his life? Oh. Another heavy question. Huh? I asked if your dad tried committing suicide at any point. He hasn't. Are you sure? I'm trying to figure something out. You said he distanced himself from everyone, and that you think it was because he was sick of life piling up on him, right? So you're thinking that to escape from all the pain, the pressure, that he just tried to end it all so that way he wouldn't have to feel that anymore. That's what some people do when it comes to suicide, but yeah, I'm not gonna really get into that. He lost his wife, his financial situation was rough, and so on. I think so. Would he have tried to take his life? I'm sorry if that sounds random, but it's something I was thinking about. He had to have some reason to live, wouldn't he? Yeah. And her name is Natsuki. At least, that's how I feel it ought to be. Or you're looking too deep into it. No, I think I'm onto something. Otherwise, it only leaves two possibilities. There was another reason he distanced himself from everyone, or he had no reason to live. There's nothing pointing to the first possibility, and I don't think it makes sense if there was either. As for the second possibility, he hadn't even attempted suicide, right? Again, you're looking way too deep into it. Oh, she's crying. You can't tell how someone is feeling when you don't know them well enough. That is true. It's just not possible. I also remember you suggesting that it was possible the reason your dad was so obsessed with you being successful was because he didn't want to see you end up like himself. What if he kept living for you? If it were true, then it would be a twisted, sick way to convey love when you look at how he treated you. But even with how angry I am at him, I can't totally ignore that maybe that was the situation. I'm even more conflicted now. There is absolutely no justifying his actions, and violence is never the answer. But maybe I really am looking at this from the wrong perspective. So you're trying to look at it from his point of view? Perhaps there is no right perspective to this either. Again, what he did was despicable, but I do wonder. I can't believe I forgot to mention this, but this is the first time he hit you, right? That's what I had been getting from what you said. This is the first time he had hit me, yes. Okay, well, other mods have had it where it's like, he beats her constantly. Back when he and my mom got married, they agreed they would never use violence to get a point across if they ever had kids. And then he does this. I wonder how she would feel about all this. I think she would be pretty livid. Natsuki finally breaks into tears. It's been a long night, Natsuki. I'm proud of you for telling me all this. Natsuki struggles to speak. It's not like I had a choice. Maybe. But that doesn't make it any less difficult. How much longer is this going to last? Natsuki cries harder. Hey, I'm your boyfriend. One of the things I'm supposed to do when you're having a hard time is to comfort you. So let me do that. Let me comfort you. We both lay down and hug each other. It was the most personal, emotional hug I had experienced. I think I even cried a little. There was no point to the alarm clock today. I didn't care what the literature club was going to think or say, but we weren't going to school today. Looking at Natsuki, seeing that she's still hugging me even while she's still asleep, there's no way I could ever make her go to school. I don't want to leave her alone either, so that's just how it is. I'll admit, I'm not totally sure about everything that was said last night, but there's so many questions that haven't been answered, plus ones that haven't been asked. And we haven't figured out what to do about Natsuki's dad if we do end up making a decision either. Regardless, I said that Natsuki could stay with me as long as she'd like. It's not like I'd break the promise after this long. I think about getting up to make breakfast, but I can wait. I want to keep Natsuki company for as long as possible. Dozens of thoughts continue to swirl through my head. Roughly 10 minutes pass, but before I can drift back to sleep, Natsuki wakes up. Huh? Natsuki panics. Daniel, we're about to be late for school. You didn't forget about what happened last night, right? Yeah, but... Even now, you're still pushing yourself. You have to rest, Natsuki. Natsuki looks like she's about to fight back, only for her head to land back on the pillow. Fine. I like you, you know. A smile comes across Natsuki's face, which surprises me a little. I don't think she'd be smiling in this situation. I like you too, Natsuki. We are dating for a reason, after all. Yeah, but I feel like I don't feel like I say it enough. I'm kinda crappy sometimes. Hey, don't say that. But with you, I feel like I can do anything. Natsuki pulls me closer and hugs me tighter. So, stay with me, okay? I'm never gonna leave you. Please. I don't know if she's acting like this because she's sleep deprived or exhausted or something, but I'm not complaining or anything. I'll stay with you for as long as you want, Natsuki.